Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start with Kiely and her family and just say that we are continuing every effort and every lead possible to this point. We've been in communication with the family constantly, in-person meetings with them to ensure that they're receiving every bit of information possible. We've also been keeping up with trying to push out as much information as possible to the community, and we really thank the community for stepping up and helping law enforcement in this time. We've come together as a community here with our partners in Nevada County, the California Highway Patrol, the FBI, Truckee Police. The FBI at this point has dedicated almost 50 personnel to this search for Kiely. They are out actively searching, knocking on doors, going to businesses, recovering video. At this point, we've collected just a ton of information and video from gas stations, private businesses, private residences, ring cameras, etc. And so we're trying to decipher that information to make sure that we're picking up on any tips. Again, we'll refer the public to the tip line. Please, 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 if you have any further information for us, call that tip line and we'll follow it up. I'll open it up to any questions.
It's been now 5 days since she's been missing. What's the newest update that you can give us, and do you have any new leads at this time?
So we do not have any new leads, and that I can tell you is very frustrating for us. And so we reiterate that anyone that was at the party that night, please come to law enforcement. Please go to the tip line. It is anonymous if they want to remain anonymous. We can't urge enough that people that were there know something. If you know something, please say something, come forward about Kiely's disappearance.
Have a lot of kids turned in video from that night because they record everything these days?
Yes, there was a lot of video at the party. We've done a really good job of trying to collect that, as much of that as possible. That obviously takes time to review, hours and hours of time to review, but we're trying to narrow down the scope, and that if Kiely was seen in any of those videos, we are following up on it, yes.
And the last one, does this mean to think that at this moment you don't believe she ever went home, or she never went down that route? You believe she went somewhere else, or she never made it home?
We don't know. We're trying to find out exactly what happened, and at this point, we believe that someone knows, someone saw her, but they're not coming forward. So again, we urge people to come forward. Again, we'll reiterate that we're not concerned about what was happening out at the party. Our only concern is to get Kiely back.
We're next to our Placer County Sheriff's Lieutenant Josh Barnhart. He will be discussing more on the investigation thus far.
Good evening, everyone. I'm currently assigned to investigations as a lieutenant in our main office in Auburn. And like the sheriff said, the outpouring of support from the community and from law enforcement agencies has just been amazing to watch. And I just want to tell the family again that we're working very hard for you. We've brought the family in, we've shown them what we're doing, and hopefully they have been able to see the extent to which law enforcement and our assistance has gone to this point. With the search and rescue effort, with the investigations effort, and all of the agencies involved in this is just amazing. We've had to tell detectives, no, you're done for the day, you need to go home, and they've been stubborn, and they've been staying longer, working on very little sleep. Just 3 points to talk about tonight. We are continuing to collect media from every source, video, especially photos. We've even asked attendees of the party to come in that were willing to bring their phone so that we could use the data from their phones for the investigation. We've been working the extensive amount of tips that have come in, and I urge everyone to continue that effort. Make sure that you're, anything that comes up that you think of, please call that tip line. And again, you can remain anonymous if you desire. Our detectives, including the FBI, have been going door to door, collecting data, media as well, video. They've been going to residences, collecting Ring camera video, anything that they can, gas stations. We've been asked, what about cameras at intersections, cameras here? Everything we're taking into consideration at this point, and we're collecting. I'll just end with 12:33 a.m. was the last known time that we have for Kiely. Anything after that, we have not been able to find. And so please, again, we urge, we beg you that if you were there, you know something, please come forward and give us that information so we can continue our investigation past 12:33. Thank you.
I'm a student of the University of Nevada, Reno, and it's been reported that students of Reno high schools as well as UNR were in attendance at that party. Has there been any coordination efforts with Reno, Sparks Police, or with the university? We are in our summer session and taking finals tomorrow. Has there been any outreach to professors to communicate with our students?
Can I say simply yes to all of the above? We have reached out to those law enforcement agencies, and they've been working with us. Even in specific instances where we gain some information, we can coordinate and ask them to go check this lead. So yes, we've been working with them. I hope that answers your question. So to answer about the tip line, I'm not sure about that. I know that the tips are flowing in. So if someone does come in with that concern, there are alternatives. Obviously not anonymous, but if you do call one of our dispatch centers, Nevada County Sheriff, Truckee, Placer, that information, or they will get transferred or their information taken down to be given to a detective to follow up. Hope that answers your question. I do want to follow up with the tip question. My partner reminded me another alternative is the email address that has been set up. So if someone isn't able to get through, the lines clogged, you can refer them to the email address. So the question is whether or not there was one point of origin where the invite came out. There was multiple invites, via all means of media to this party. So yeah, to pinpoint one, it was multiple uses of media. Yes. So at this point, and I think we've been very honest and open with the family of where we are at with the investigation. And there are some things that we cannot talk about because it might interfere with the investigation. But what we know is that Kiely's car after 12:33 a.m. has not been seen. I can tell you that definitively. So we are following up on every lead possible. If we get information that there was a silver car matching her description seen anywhere, we're following up with that. And then, so I hope that answers your question. It's not necessarily something that we're going to update the public on, but if we do have a big find, it's going to be something significant for us that we might be putting out to the public, yes.
With that, I'm going to toss it over to Placer County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Josh Barnhart.
Good afternoon. I want to start again by thanking the family of Kiely and just how supportive they've been of our efforts in conjunction with working the investigation and the search and rescue. I want to commend the community for coming together and taking part of this as well. and all of the efforts the community has put forth in the search and rescue, and also by providing tips to us. I just want to give you a little update about the investigation side. We're sending detectives out on the tips that we're receiving for follow-up. To date, we've received over 500 tips. We're following up right now on over 380 leads, including email leads of over 300. Our request at this point is if you have video of that night, detectives want more of it. There has been a lot of video provided, and some of it had to do with a fight that occurred at the party. Detectives right now are asking for any additional video that you have. So again, we urge you that you would please bring that forward. Again, we'll refer you to the tip line. If you have any issues with the tip line and getting through, there's an alternate email that we've provided. And as it came up in our community meeting last night, if you are hesitating coming forward to law enforcement, please go to someone that you trust, and I urge you to go to that person to come forward to law enforcement, and they can help you do that. Thank you.
There was mention of video of a fight. Is that in any way connected to the disappearance?
The only thing I can say is that they have not found a connection yet to it. Obviously, it's being taken into consideration.
You've received over 500 tips and video evidence. Within all of that, were there any sightings of Kiely?
So from what the detectives have reviewed so far, nothing has panned out. However, they continue to work and review video, and we're talking hours and hours of video that they're going to have to pour through, which they are. We've dedicated many detectives to this effort, and they are actively, as we speak, reviewing video to see if there's any clue that would lead us in the right direction.
And Lieutenant, may I ask one more follow-up question? I think this might be important for a lot of people. A lot of the people that we're dealing with here are juveniles. And a point that you mentioned is the fact that if you're not comfortable coming to law enforcement, to go to someone who is comfortable going to law enforcement. Why are you telling us that today, and what's your messaging behind that? And what do you want parents to know? And maybe on the off chance that a child is seeing this on social media or however they're seeing it, what do you want them to know?
So, we understand that the uniform can be intimidating, and so we don't want that to be a stopgap for these juveniles. In speaking with community members last night, we were speaking about that fact, and if you have a coach or a mentor that you trust that can come to law enforcement for you, by all means, or use that as an avenue. And so we just don't want there to be any hesitation on the part of these juveniles to come forward with information.
On your recent release that you came out today of agencies that have been assisting you, we noticed that Homeland Security has been removed from that list. Have they stepped away from the investigation? Are they still actively here, or have they pulled out?
We had Homeland Security listed earlier because they were assisting on some technical aspects of the investigation. It caused a lot of questions, and that may be why they've been removed at this point. I can tell you that there aren't any personnel involved from Homeland Security at this point, only FBI agents.
How long do you guys see yourselves, the level of hours that are being put into this and the amount of people that are searching? It's a 1 week now today, so how much longer can we expect this? And it's been very encouraging, but at some point, is there going to be a drop?
Yeah, I'll speak to the investigation side, and that is that as long as tips are coming in, we're going to continue that effort, and we'll continue that effort as long as we can. And obviously, if a tip pans out and leads us in a direction, we're going to devote resources to that. So, I'm just speaking to the investigation side of the house. This will continue if it's unsolved as long as it goes, and we'll continue to dedicate resources to it.
Look, it's been a week.
And we know there's a lot of people out there, and you're saying you won't get in trouble if you come forward. But what can you say to somebody who might know something or has seen something after a week and they haven't come forward yet? There's a huge reward. So what is it that we can say to get someone to come forward who might have that important information?
I would just encourage them to do so and do the right thing. We've received over 700 tips.
Over
that we
1,000.
Well, over 1,000 tips, but 700 and I believe 20 that have been entered and received, and we are following up on leads. And so that obviously takes resources to do. But if we have that one tip that leads us in the right direction, that could change everything, yes.
I'd like to now introduce Placer County Sheriff's Lieutenant Josh Barnhart for the most recent update on the investigation.
Good afternoon. I would like to also thank Kiely's family for their continued support in this effort. It has truly been a feat. I'd like to commend the community for coming together to support us and all of their search and rescue efforts. I'd like to commend our own search and rescue and detectives, and also you, our media partners, for helping us put out the word about Kiely. We are committed to following through on all the tips that we receive. We are continuing to investigate leads from those tips. Today we have 50 plus detectives that are out and about interviewing and following up on those tips. We've married up with the FBI, our detectives in the FBI, to go out and do that. Another request is for more video. If anyone has more video that they have not submitted, please, there's no small amount of information for us. And more witness accounts from the party. If you have not come forward, if you were there and you saw something, please come forward and let us know. In closing, I'd like to say that we're putting the pedal down, that we're continuing to move forward this week, and that after this week we will be modifying things to a task force style. That means our resources will continue to move forward, but in somewhat of a different manner. Thank you.
You said possibly moving forward in a little bit of a different way. Can you say what that means in terms of personnel and search groups?
Sure, I'll have Lieutenant Josh Barnhart answer that question.
I figured that would come up. So we've identified lead investigators from each agency, Placer County Sheriff, Nevada County Sheriff, CHP, Truckee PD, the FBI, and we will be moving forward in a task force manner. That means that with these leads, we'll be able to cycle personnel through rather than having a large group of personnel here. It doesn't mean the investigation is going to stop. It will continue to move forward. I hope that answers your question.
JD, has there been any change of position by the adults that have advised the teens not to speak? We talked about this a few days ago, that this was a very important part, that there was adults advising the teens that were at the party not to speak and contact authorities. Has there been any change in position with that?
I don't know that that's readily apparent. We only received several reports a few days ago, and since then we haven't received additional reports, but that doesn't mean that people are still telling other teens potentially or young adults to not come forward. Our detectives and the FBI investigators are extremely committed to interviewing as many people as possible who went to that party, and they continue to do so today.
Thank you.
To follow up on that question, have anyone interviewed by the FBI in the surrounding area been uncooperative with investigators?
I'm going to let Lieutenant Barnhart answer that question.
I would say for the most part, everyone's been very cooperative, yes. And like I said, thank you to the community. Many people have come forward and given us information, but we haven't run into very large roadblocks with people not wanting to give us information. I think what JD was talking about was probably an isolated incident that we were able to get past.
Thank you.
You're welcome.